Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time once again for another weekly journey we call Living Hope, a show designed to provide hope, inspiration, and education for those living with pancreatic cancer, sharing the real-life stories of those really affected by this deadly disease and how they deal with it on a daily basis, with two people who are well-versed in that subject here. Our host, Roberta Luna.
Hi, Paul. It's nice to see everybody here today. Well, the three of us anyway.
We're all here.
We're all here.
We're all here. We're all here going. And today you've got another interesting story of someone living with this disease and who's been through the famous Whipple surgery and all that, and a lot more stories to share with the audience here.
Yes, today we're joined by Ken Miller. He's a pancreatic cancer survivor who was diagnosed less than a year ago. So he's actually the earliest one that I've had on and that I've had the pleasure of meeting. I've never met anyone diagnosed at a stage 1 or stage 1.5. I'm not sure which that is, but really happy and honored to have you on. So thank you. Ken will be sharing his powerful story. So thank you for being here today. It's really,
thank you.
And I know anybody who will be listening to this on the audio later, I understand, can't see you, but you look really, really well. So it's really happy for me to see somebody
just
looking
skinnier.
Well, but your coloring is good. You look great. So just really happy to have you here. So thank you. Can you tell us a little bit what life was like before pancreatic cancer?
It was normal. I mean, I was not sick. Like I said before, blood sugar was rising, and then I started having bowel problems. And it was diet related, and I was thinking stress probably was bringing this on because I had a rental property that I was having some construction work done, and it wasn't going well. So I went to the doctor, and I told her about this, and she didn't do well at diagnosing me and so I switched doctors, and that's when we found out that something was really wrong.
You mentioned your blood sugar. Did you have symptoms? I mean, were there any symptoms when your blood sugar is not quite right?
No, I had no symptoms whatsoever. It was just a blood test showed it, and I went in for my regular physicals, and they're going, well, you're diabetic. I go, no, I'm not. I eat normally. I eat well. And I was a little overweight, but no, there was no symptoms whatsoever.
And the first doctor you went to, you said, well, you weren't happy with the way it was going? So
not at all. I mean, she's giving me a sleep test and all unrelated things.
So the symptoms that you were having then, how were those diagnosed?
Through a stool sample first. 8 stool samples, actually. Very pleasant to do that. And then we did a sonogram. Sonogram came up negative. And then they did a CAT scan, and that's when the tumor showed up. And then after that, we did the biopsy.
Was this the second doctor you went to, not the first doctor?
The second doctor I went to.
And how did you find, because we are always telling people if you're not happy with your first result, you need to get that second opinion. So how did you go
Kaiser set me up with a second doctor.
Oh, great.
So.
And then from there they did, I think Paul has a question.
I have to jump in early. Usually I jump in later when I go, what? Really? Why? I hear this so often on this show. Roberta's story, your story. Went to the doctor, and they kind of went, it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of the problem with this whole thing here? People don't know how to recognize it, don't look for it, don't think of it as the first choice. It's always the last thing after they've ruled out everything else.
I would agree with that.
And therefore it advances, and you don't get to it early enough here.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, probably for most cases, but luckily Ken was lucky in the sense that at least they did refer him to somewhere else, or somebody else, and he was able to get that diagnosis very early because it's very important to get it diagnosed early. Like I said,
share both your stories again. Roberta's told the story a million times. She can share it one more time here. She went in and they went, that's something else. And then you went, well, I have a history of this in my family. They went, no, that has nothing to do with it. And then building on that, I'm curious to hear your guest's comment. What made you think this isn't going right? Why didn't you just accept what she was telling you to do?
Well, I was doing a lot of research online, the symptoms, and it led me to either it was a gallbladder or it was my pancreas. And then I was leaning towards the pancreas because of the symptoms that I was having.
And doesn't that drive doctors crazy when you come in and say, but wait a minute, I found this, and they're like, I got the medical degree. Just be quiet, do what I tell you to do.
Well, yeah, but I
I'm
didn't.
being
I
a little
didn't push
harsh here,
that
but-
button. But
You didn't push that button, you said?
no, I didn't push that button.
Yeah, it is, and it can be very frustrating because, like I said, Paul was mentioning, I had lost 2 family members, and let my doctor know, and he was not concerned at all. And then after the 3rd family member, he still wasn't concerned, and I was, because I was having some symptoms that just didn't fit right.
Right.
And so, luckily, unfortunately, because I had lost so many family members, mine was diagnosed early at a stage 3, and that's still fairly early. But it's just very difficult because, one, I was only in my 40s, and they said I was too young, and that's something that, apparently they feel statistically it shows in the older groups, like in the 60s and 70s, which I think we need to take a look at, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, getting back, you mentioned
Well, they almost said I was too old. I'm 70.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
And for operation for the Whipple.
Oh, okay. We have had, one of our other guests was actually, she was in her 80s when they did the Whipple. But yeah, that surprised me too, because, you usually think they're not going to do that for somebody in what they consider in the older age. And I think Paul's going to ask
I got to
the question
jump in again because I've seen this in other sorts of things. My late father, mother, and her sister, her aunt, all went through surgeries late in life. And each time they said, "You're too old." And I kept asking, are we too old to survive it? Maybe. Or are we too old to waste it on you? Because you're already old. Let's give it to somebody that's younger. And is it litigation they're afraid of? Is it success they're afraid of? Or do they just not value somebody at a certain age that you don't get the same treatment everybody else does? My aunt had her knee done, and they're like, it's too late to get your knee done. Well, what else? She lived for another 15 years. How could she have lived without a knee replacement? What do you guys think?
Well,
I'm interjecting all my negative views on medicine here, but
There's probably a little bit of both on that. I mean, yeah, you're only going to live so long, but your quality of life needs to be improved.
right, exactly.
So it just depends.
Yeah,
It probably depends on your insurance too.
That's true too. Right, yeah.
hopefully they take each case individually, though, when they look at it.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to say anymore. But and I do see, just in my own experience, the doctors are getting better from what my first experience was. So I'm happy to say that and to see that. You did mention that you had a biopsy. I know there are a couple different types of biopsies. Do you know which one did you have? Did you have?
Well, they started to do the biopsy first, and they couldn't get in there because the bile was building up in my liver. So they had to put a drain on my liver for about a week. That was fun. But then after that, they could see and they could get in there and do the biopsy, and they put a stent in my bile duct so that the bile could drain naturally. And everything happened after that.
How soon after they did the biopsy and completed all the tests did you get your diagnosis?
Oh, it was almost immediate.
Very quickly?
Oh, yeah. In fact, the doctor that did the biopsy said it was
That soon, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Because
then,
I've seen it often enough, I already know it's cancer.
well, I'm glad that he, didn't make you wait. 'Cause
Also
sometimes,
gave me 18 months to live, too.
Yes. Oh, they did give you a time frame?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see that you're not by that, so that's good. That's good. And then after you got the diagnosis, what was the next step? What was the next thing your doctor wanted to do?
So the next step was we went to the oncologist and then the surgeon. And then we discussed the Whipple procedure and the cancer treatment, the chemo. And I went through 4 rounds of chemo and then took 4 weeks off, and then they did the surgery and took another 4 weeks off, and then they did 8 rounds of chemo after that.
What was your experience like with the chemo, the first round of chemo?
First round wasn't bad. I mean, it was uncomfortable, but it wasn't bad. It was the last few rounds that really got you and knocked you down. It was hard. Yeah. And it was an all-day experience, too. It wasn't like you're sitting in these chairs and you're watching people get up and leave and this, that, and you're there forever. And you're pushing the button because of the IV thing's binging away, and yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is pretty much an all-day procedure, and so and then I don't know how you were, but afterwards I felt okay. It wasn't until like a couple days later that it hit, And then, it was pretty bad for a couple of days. And then just as you get over it, then it's time to start all over again. Did you
Made
have
my
that-
legs really weak.
Your legs were weak?
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of nausea or throwing up or
Not
anything?
too bad.
Oh,
There were a
that's
few
good.
times I did, but no appetite. Things did not taste well at all.
Yeah, it did kind of leave like a metally, like,
Yeah.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've experienced that. It's not pleasant at all.
No, and it was hard for my wife because she's going, "What do you want to eat?" Nothing. How about yogurt? No.
Yeah. And then after you took a little bit of break from the chemo, then they did the Whipple.
Yes.
And the doctor explained the surgery to you, what it was and how
Yes.
you would be afterwards.
Yes.
That's good because I hear a lot of times the doctors don't give you quite the information that you need. So you felt pretty well good to go with it. You knew what to expect pretty much.
Well, there was no alternative. I mean, you had to do it or die, you know. So,
Not real good odds there.
no, so I opted for the surgery.
And how long was that?
How long was the surgery?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
10 hours.
So it's pretty much like just doing all the replumbing everything, right? Just
You
cutting things away.
lose your
and reconnecting.
gallbladder and take part of your stomach out, and they take part of your intestines, and then they take the tip of the pancreas off.
Is that where your tumor was? all of a
Yes,
sudden?
on the tip.
And then you took another little vacation or little
It was
time off.
4 weeks off then.
And then started around chemo again.
Mm-hmm.
How many chemos did you do after surgery?
8.
Oh, wow. And what were those like?
Like I said, it got harder after a while. The first couple were okay, but towards the end there, it was bad.
Did you have any side effects from the chemo? Any lasting ones that you're still experiencing today?
My feet are numb.
Oh, so you have neuropathy?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that they suggest that you can do for that?
Nope.
Have you tried or looked into maybe acupuncture? I hear from a lot of others that have that they've tried acupuncture, and
No, I haven't heard about that.
it might be something maybe look into. I don't know. Ask your doctor about it. I don't know if you have a full care team, right? Nurses,
Yes.
oncologists, and all
Yes.
those, that you can talk to. And did they set you up with any kind of, I don't want to say mental evaluation, but any kind of therapy or anything like that? before and
No.
after?
I suppose I could if I asked, but I didn't ask.
Okay.
The frustrating part, too, is like when you're going through the chemo, 3 days after that, you have to get shots to build up your white blood cells. So you have to get the Granic shot for 5 days. And you're spending every day at the freaking clinic. And, the people ask you, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to the doctor again. And it's not easy.
No, I felt I was at the doctor's more than I was at my own home sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think I saw my nurse more than I saw my husband and my family. It's people don't realize it takes quite a toll,
Mhm.
and it's just the energy to go down and do all this stuff when you're supposed to be building up your energy.
Well, and you know everybody by name now. You go to the receptionist and they just check in automatically, and you don't have to show your card or anything.
Well, that kind of makes at least the process a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
So, what went through your mind when the doctor said you have pancreatic cancer?
I was going to die.
That was your first thought.
Yeah.
How did you tell your wife?
The doctors told her that I had pancreatic cancer.
Was she with you when you got your diagnosis, or
Yes.
was she? And how did she take it?
Well, she was optimistic. I mean, they're telling her there's light at the end of the tunnel and it's not all bad, but usually it is.
Yeah. Did they talk to you at all about statistics or anything like that, or was that not ever approached?
Not when I was diagnosed, no.
So when was it that they told you they approximately 18 months?
That was when the guy that did the biopsy. And I'm assuming that was with no treatment.
Had you asked, or had you just volunteered the information?
I asked.
Did you? How did you get through all that? Not only physically, because it is physically challenging. Like you say, you're going to the doctors all the time, so and you need to rest to build your immunity and to build yourself.
A lot of naps.
Yeah. Were you able to nap during your chemo sessions and such?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's good. And then at home.
Yeah, they gave me Benadryl, so it just put me to sleep.
Oh, yeah. Also, it helps with some of the reactions you could have.
Yeah, I did have some reactions to some of the medications.
Yeah. And then mentally, how did you prepare yourself?
I don't know. I guess I have a good attitude towards things like that. I'm able just to weather through.
And were you able to continue with your regular life or your normal life, or did that change?
That was pretty messed up.
Was it?
Yeah.
In what way?
I mean, we weren't doing a lot, and actually we still aren't, but going to the grocery store was a big treat. I mean, and as far as doing anything else, family gatherings, everybody's wearing masks or testing for COVID, and you just felt like you were kind of shouldn't be there.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little scary because you
Mm-hmm.
have to be careful because your immune system is shot. So
Right.
it seems like every little thing that goes around, you're picking up. How did you manage during the COVID?
Well, COVID was over when I started this, so
So, and you had no reaction to it before? Or
No.
during- okay. Do you have a large family or
no, not really.
no? So was it difficult telling your other family and your friends what you were going through or what was happening, or did you not say anything?
I told them pretty much what was going on.
And were they a good support for you?
Yeah, they were. My kids were especially good.
How many children do you have?
I have two,
Boys, girls, mix?
boy and a girl.
That's good. Any grandkids?
No,
Not yet.
not yet.
And I think Paul has another question.
Another question I'm just reminded of, I keep hearing these recurring themes. Roberta talked about once she did tell people, of course people are initially supportive and kind and caring, but as it goes on, you almost said they drifted away from you.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have a disease and don't want to catch it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we do a lot of events where we go and we talk about pancreatic cancer, and sometimes we have people come up and they're like, no, I don't want to even talk about it. I don't want to hear it because I don't want to
Right.
catch it from you. And it's
Right.
like, I'm not contagious. It's not something you can
No,
get,
no.
Exactly.
But I did have people when I asked them because I noticed a change in the relationship. So I asked them, I said, what's going on? They said, well, we're going to lose you. So we want to start, getting prepared for that now so that it doesn't hit so hard when it happens. I'm like, well, thanks for the positive support.
Yeah.
But I guess I could understand because, you lose somebody and it's difficult. And so and then when you know the loss is coming or you think it's coming, I guess you want to prepare yourself mentally. But I thought there for a while, it's like, well, I really could use some support. But, ironically, too, then some people who I thought would never have supported me actually came out and were there. So did you have any of that same experience? Or?
Well, I was getting cards and prayers from people I didn't even know. That my wife knew through her work, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know there were a couple of times when we were out and somebody would say something, and somehow the subject would come up, probably because I was wearing something purple. And my husband would mention that I was, fighting it or a survivor. And a lot of people would just say, can I pray with you? And these were people I didn't even know. And I thought that was really, an amazing thing. And it did make me feel better. It was very nice to know that these strangers were offering me some sort of support. And, so.
It all helps.
Yeah, it really does. And your wife was your caregiver, and I think we've talked before. I think me being on both sides of the fence, caring for my parents, and then also being the patient. To me, the caregiving part is the most difficult.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
How did your wife manage, or was she your primary caregiver, and how did she manage with all that?
She was the primary caregiver, but she does take care of her mother for 3.5 days a week. So she wasn't home during that time. So my son and my daughter were the caregivers at that time.
So they lived close by where they could kind of help out?
My son lives at home, but my daughter lives close by.
Oh, good. Were they able to take you to doctor appointments and
Yes.
to the chemo? I know you said that COVID had already passed, but I know for a lot of people that are doing chemo, some of the rules or whatever you want to call it are still kind of in place where they can't have somebody come with them during treatment. Was your family able to be with you there? And did that help you having them there, or would you rather have been by yourself?
No, I preferred being alone.
Yeah.
It was very awkward. I mean, they sit in these little stools and watch you get a drip line, and you're better off alone. I mean,
Yeah, I found only because I feel like for me, I feel like I have to be strong for whoever's with me, and if I'm not feeling that great, it's better to feel bad by yourself.
exactly.
Because I think we try to protect our loved ones from what we're going through.
Well, you aren't much company either, so
No, especially if you're sleeping, right?
And they sit there and stare at you. It's hardly worth it.
Yeah. I was actually able to move around. In fact, a lot of times my nurses would come and get me and ask me if I'd come and talk to a patient or something. So we actually nicknamed my IV pole, and we called him Ivan. So Ivan and I would take trips, walks along, and talk to other patients, and try to answer any questions they may have, or just hopefully make them feel better. So how was your oncology nurse and your staff with you? Were they good, supportive? Were they there very often, or were they just so busy they didn't have a lot of time?
The oncologist is very busy. Didn't see her a lot. It's very good. I mean, very nice lady. But the nurses that worked the IVs were very attentive.
What do you think is the biggest challenge, especially since finishing treatment? The physical recovery or the emotional adjustment or something different?
Physical recovery. I've lost a lot of strength, and I'm trying to get everything back.
Yeah.
I can't gain weight. I keep trying to do that too.
How are you trying to get the strength back? Just by are you doing any
Just
walking?
by doing
or-
stuff, yeah.
You're able to take walks?
Oh, yeah.
Were you a golfer before? Or
No. But I do my own yard work, and there's a large yard, and I'm way behind.
Well, that can be a lot of good exercise at least, right?
Yeah.
And getting out into the air and out is very helpful. Do you travel, or have you been able to travel, get back into the traveling? Or
We're going to be going to Colorado here in July,
Oh, that'd be nice. How long are you going to stay there?
a week.
Oh, you have family, or you're just
We have
sightseeing?
friends there.
You going to do some sightseeing, hopefully?
Yep,
Oh, good.
yep, so it should be good.
Is there anything that you have to take with you to prepare for trips?
Such as?
Are you on any kind of medicine,
Oh, I
enzymes?
have to take enzymes, yeah.
Okay. And I know this is maybe kind of a personal thing, but you mentioned earlier you had bowel issues. Is that something that's corrected itself, or is that still something that you have to be concerned and worried about?
It's getting better. The doctor yesterday told me to double my enzymes, and that's helped a lot so far.
How many are you taking now?
2.
Two, and then so now you want you to double that, or that was doubled?
That's doubled.
Okay. Did he explain the use of enzymes, or did anybody tell you how to use them, or did they just give them to you and say?
Started taking 1 every meal, and then now it's 2 every meal.
Okay.
And they help you digest your food, your proteins.
But they did explain the use, because I hear from a lot of people they were just given the prescription, here's the enzymes, take them, and
Right.
they didn't have a clue how to do it. So do you feel that they help you?
Yes.
Because it is important to take them, and it's important to take them correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that normal, I think, is different now than what it used to be. So
Yes, it is.
how do you deal with that on an emotional level?
Well, we're trying to get back to normal. And I think things are getting better. Yeah, I don't know quite how to answer that question.
It's difficult because I think, for one, normal, and then trying to get back. And then every day, at least every day for me, it can be different even now. Every day can be different. So what might have been normal yesterday may not be normal today.
True.
Do you find that as well?
Yep.
Does it get frustrating for you?
As far as?
Not being maybe what you would consider your normal, what you were before?
It not being able to do things is frustrating, yeah.
Do you notice you have to maybe, like you said, you have a large yard, so you obviously, at least I couldn't do everything maybe in the same
I can't
day.
do everything at once. I
Yeah.
have to do it in steps. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be a little
It's
frustrating, right?
Something I would do in a day, it will take me 3 days.
But at least you're able to do it. So it's, I think, I'm sorry, Paul has a question.
And tell me to mind my own business if I'm getting too close here to anything. But for both of you, I just suddenly struck me. You're saying you want to get back to normal. Can you ever get back to normal? Is it always on your mind? Is it always there? Is it always, you forget about it for a little while, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I have this limitation, or I have this diagnosis, or I could get sick and die, or whatever. Is that always in the back of your head? Or because normal would mean you stop thinking about it?
You want to go ahead and answer first?
Well, when I was doing chemo, I had a PICC line on my arm. And the PICC line, you can't lift anything over 5 pounds, which is a gallon of milk. So people are asking you, what are you doing for exercise? I'm not doing crap because I can't lift anything. So when I got rid of the PICC line, I feel like I've graduated a little bit, where I can do things. I can't lift a lot because of the surgery. They're saying I might get a hernia or whatever. I gotta wait for it to heal. So gradually, I am getting better.
Can you explain the PICC line for those that don't know what it is?
The PICC line is an insertion of a tube that goes from your arm very close to your heart, and there's two little ducts or valves on the outside where they can put the IVs in.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will ask me, what was that? So I just wanted you to clarify that. Thank you. And to answer on my side, I guess in the early days, I never thought of that I was going to die. That never entered my mind. I was very stubborn that I was going to be on the survivor side. And as far as now, I mean, I've been, dealing with this for so long. There are days that I don't even think about it. I forget, I guess you could say. Or maybe I push it to the back of my mind, unless maybe something triggers it. Like sometimes, ironically, it could be, there's a certain odor sometimes that will trigger, bring back, the treatments and the facility and that kind of thing. But generally, anymore, I don't think about it unless maybe, something happens that's been going on for a while. And then I think, okay, is it waking up again? Because my tumor is dormant right now. But in generalization, I don't think about it the way I used to. But I don't know that I'm normal either.
You're definitely not normal. I can vouch for that here. But it would seem I've never dealt with something that was always there. Usually you get sick and then you hopefully get better. You have a stroke or you have a heart attack or something, and then it gets better and better and better. And then at some point, you don't think of it. You say, I had a stroke or I had a heart attack, like my father did. But he didn't have to deal with it anymore. Maybe it had certain limitations to him. Maybe it left him in a certain thing. But it's sort of loved out. He didn't have to worry about it and think about it all the time. He was aware of it, but it seems like you're dealing with something that day by day could change.
Yeah. Do you feel it? Do you ever think of reoccurrence, or have they ever talked to you about anything like that?
Well, the term is you're in remission, right? You're not cured. So yeah, it could come back.
Yeah. I've always heard it said as no evidence of disease, but I guess that would be the same thing as remission. I don't know how the doctors phrase it anymore. But do your friends and your family, or do they think now that, okay, the surgery's over, the chemo's over, so you should be able to get back to normal, you should be living a normal life? Have they ever said anything?
Yeah, they think I'm all well. And for all purposes, I am. So
they don't really, do they understand though that, that you're still dealing with it? I mean, that you still have some of the issues, like, being tired and not being able to maybe.
Yeah, they do understand that.
And they're pretty understanding with it and supportive.
Right.
If you had to give advice to somebody who was just being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, what would you say to them, or what would your best advice be to them?
If they're just diagnosed?
Yeah, if they come to you and say, man, I just found out I've got pancreatic cancer.
Well, if they're unhappy with their diagnosis, I would see another doctor. Listen to the treatments. Analyze what they want to do to you.
And I would think, like I said, you were diagnosed at a stage 1. So you had early symptoms of something and just didn't know what it was.
Right.
So to continue to be proactive with your own care, listen to your body, know your body, but you know it better than anyone else, and make sure the doctors understand that as well, and heed what you're trying to explain to them.
Right.
Yeah. And it sounds like your doctors did that, were good with that. Well, I was glad that you were able to come and join us today. You've come such a long ways in such a short time. Your strength and honesty and resilience are truly inspiring. So thank you for coming here and sharing your journey with everybody. And
I'm glad to do it.
Yeah, just hopefully I think we can plan on having you back another time and see how you're doing and kind of catch up and just kind of see how things are going. So thank you very much.
And it'll be back to normal. I'll say, pancreatic cancer. I haven't thought about that in a long time. That was a long time ago. I'm cured. That's gone.
Yes, let's hope we can get to that point. That would be amazing. As long as you speak my name, I shall live forever is dedicated to Bonnie Draper. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. There's another amazing story, the type we always try and find and share each and every week on this journey we call Living Hope. A weekly show designed to provide hope, inspiration, education, experiences for those living with pancreatic cancer, sharing the real-life stories of those dealing with it on a daily basis. If you have somebody that's dealing with it and needs some help, lots of places you can go, like the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and others. Just call us here or look those up, and you can find lots of sources for inspiration, education, support, and other ideas. And as always, we hope that you'll join us again. Share this with others as we continue this journey we call Living Hope.